There we go. All right, there we are. Just needed a minute to kind of get this all worked out. I'll adjust the audio a bit so I'm not killing you all. So welcome everyone to Workshop Wednesday. Glad to have anyone here who is watching the video. Today, the plan is to finish a project I started a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. Building a coat rack. And here it is. You may remember from last time that I didn't get the sides on. I was planning to screw some pieces on here to serve as the coat rack pieces. I didn't get to that because I couldn't screw them in. I ended up talking to my dad about this and discovered that there's a little problem with that. Namely, I don't have a drill bit that could go far enough to actually get the screws in far enough that I needed. So he gave me a great suggestion. Namely, just get some, some racks, some hooks, and screw them in. So I'm just going to do that. You'll also notice, of course, this is now black. Before it was just straight wood. So this is just straight up spray paint. It's actually a primer and paint all in one. This is 2 coats sprayed on. I just went outside and sprayed it with spray paint. And it turned out very nicely. Here's the base. Obviously I didn't bother painting the bottom because no one's ever going to see it. There is the bottom. There are some screws sticking up here, so I actually bought some pads. I'm going to stick on this. I'm going to try to also sort of unscrew and screw back in some of these screws that didn't go very far in. So hopefully if I just sort of pull it out, pull it back in, I can get those a little bit further in. But yeah, this turned out quite well in terms of spray painting, so no complaints there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and screw in the hooks. Now obviously if the hooks are way up here and you put a coat on it, it's going to fall over. So you want the hooks to be fairly low, and I want 2 sets, so I'll have a total of 8, 4 up here and 4 down here. So folks can hang, jacket a little further down, that kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to make the first one here. I know I put in, there's a hole right there, so there was the one I tried to put in before. Might as well cover that up, so I think I'll put another one basically right there. That makes sense. So let's go ahead and put this on the table. Is that gonna, yeah, that's pretty good. Don't want it to fall. Okay, now that seems about right. And we'll let you see what I'm doing here. So there we go. You may be hearing a 3D printer on the side. It actually just finished up. I'm going to turn that off. That is for another project for later on tonight. So I'm 3D printing some miniatures. Here's a little arm that I will be taking care of later tonight. And actually, I'll be painting this later tonight. I'm just going to rip off the support materials on this right now. Since it just got finished printing, the support is still warm and it comes off better than if you wait till it's gotten hard. And ideally you can just pull that off. Let me grab where it is. So again, I'm just pulling off some of this plastic that was used just to keep it appropriately supported on the build rack, build plate that is, and hopefully you can pull that out without ripping out anything else. There we go. Oh, I may have pulled out a finger. I think it's okay. I can bend it back in. Yeah, that's fine. Oh no, that's support material. No, we're fine. Okay, good. We pulled that off. I could pull off a little bit more support material up here, hopefully. There we are. Okay. I'm happy with that. Okay, so there's the hand that I'll be gluing on and painting later on tonight. But for now, let's go ahead and get this screwed, so to speak. All right, so we've got this guy. And these go in to the side, so I'll kind of put that on here and just drill in to get my pilot holes. That's non-trivial. Ideally, nah, I should mark it. I'll see if I can mark. Actually, that's cool. If I just punch in, can I see those? I can. Is that? Let's see here. There's the first mark. There's the other mark. Okay, cool. Yeah. I just pushed into here and made a little mark on there, so that's fine. So now I know where I need to drill. So I'm just going to drill in. Now I can't put these in all around, exactly opposite each other, because then the screws will hit each other. So I'll have to, put the two on this side a little, above, and kind of orient things around a little bit. We'll make it work. All right, so let's grab some screws. Yep, that's where that is. Does those go in? Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to get that in. Oops, forward. Oh, that's a problem. So the issue is I can't, this guy won't fit there. So I'm going to need to go grab a screwdriver. 1 second. Yeah. So I literally cannot drill these in. I'm going to have to do it by hand, which will suck. And we'll see if maybe... no, that's fine. It's just going to be tedious. Ugh. Yeah, it's going in fine. I don't need much effort. And you want it a little tight. Yeah, I just gotta do it this way. Alright, this will take another few hours. But, at least it's not, like, hideously difficult effort. It might be a lot harder once I get close to the bottom. I can feel it getting tighter. Because that drill doesn't go all the way in. So I'm going to need some strength as I get down towards the bottom of this. So we'll see how that goes. And obviously you don't want to tighten this all the way in before the other screws in, because that can lead to some weird problems with... Ugh. Okay, I'll be sweating with the oldies tonight. Which reminds me, I wouldn't mind putting on some music. Maybe I'll do that. See if we can get that working. Okay. Put that in. Yeah, that's going in very easily. And it changes once it gets significantly in. Okay. I could go with a slightly wider bit, but then I fear the screw wouldn't actually be able to bite into the wood, right? You want to make sure that you're not gouging out a hole the size of the entire screw, so there's nothing for the screw to hold on to. But the important thing here is that if I do it this way, very, very secure. Because I don't want these loops to fall out. And these hooks, not really loops. Okay, yeah, this is, it requires some strength, but not like, oh my gosh, I'm killing myself. Until you get down to the very bottom when you need a little bit more effort. Alright. And this is why it's useful to do it in sort of alternating movements, because then you can get it nice and firm. Okay, there's the first hook. Okay, like I said, I'm going to have to sort of spiral them around here, otherwise the screws will knock into each other. So let's just turn this to one side, and we'll mark the next one. Kind of like the idea of highlighting the fact that I'm spiraling it. And I think I want to go, that's as high as I want to go, so I'll go down further from that one. So I'm going to make it a little obvious. Oops. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I just like that. If they're too unevenly spaced, then one can sort of pull the other down, but I think this is going to be fine. So we'll mark. I can't really use like a pencil here because with the wood being black, the pencil's just not going to show. Okay, there are my holes. Go down as far as I can. All right, and then this guy. I'll go over here this time. And in it goes. Yeah, there's really no way I can think of to get in there. Maybe if I had like an extender. I've seen little bars you can buy, little rods that you attach to that essentially just gives you an extra couple of inches of movement, but, or, you know, of spacer there, but I don't have one of those. So for now, that's not what I'm going to get. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out in terms of, you know, size and shape and color. Like, this just really feels like a good project. And I'm going to do, move that a little easier to see. And just move on to the other screw. I discovered something with this packaging, which was a little frustrating and had to pay close attention to. Namely, there's this little gap down here at the bottom where all the screws live. But there's very little glue on the bottom here. So as I pulled these off of the rack, the screws were falling out of the bottom of this into oblivion, basically. So several of these packages didn't have enough screws. So I had to sort through the packages to make sure everything was okay. And when I brought them home, I noticed a few of them had escaped. So I should have enough here. Because I actually bought 3 packages of 3, and I only need 8 of the 9. So even if I'm missing 1 or 2 screws, I'm fine. But it was one of those, I should be aware of that. It's really exciting, I know, but I don't see any other way of doing this. it gets a little more effort. This is not necessarily better, but it's another angle. So it's just, you know, it feels a little easier. Maybe. This help? Yeah, actually. Wonder if let's try this way. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay. Noted. That is a much better way of doing that. It's almost as if paying attention to your body's geometry helps. Okay, good. This will be a lot less tiring. Okay. Actually, let me see if I can't adjust those in a bit further. Yeah. Okay. Good. Nice and firm in there. It feels like I could go further. But it won't. And I'll try to find it out. One little trick, I mean, this is kind of noodly, but I do like, let me adjust this a little bit. I do like it when the screws are, can't really see that, are aligned. You know, when the holes match up. It's not a big thing. It's not something that I would, you know, spend time and money on, significant amounts of time and money on. But, you know, while I'm there, if I notice, oh, an extra eighth of a turn and those match up, it just makes it look a little nicer. Okay, so here's the next one. And again, we've got to go down a bit. And I'm just eyeballing that. I probably shouldn't, but I am anyway. Okay. Pull one. Pull two. Good. Going in and out twice helps. Oops. Just pull out a bit more material than otherwise. All right, so I'm trying to get this into a position where you guys can see it well. All right. We need more screws, which are over here. Kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul in terms of screws. All right. Oh, those are crooked. What happened there? No, that's okay. That's weird. It really looks crooked. When I put it in, it's straight. Huh, weird. All right. Whatever. And we'll do it here. Get it started. Let's get that screw going. Then, like I did before, we'll do it this way. This is nice. And I really like how long the screws are. So they're gonna go in about this far. So that's about, you know, 3/4 of the way into the wood. So that should be plenty to keep these nice and solidly in there. That's a good thing. One of the most important things I'm learning about woodworking is security. Is how to make sure the thing is not only the shape you want, but doesn't, you know, fall apart when you're done. And on the one hand, like, it's not a big thing if you build something and it doesn't quite work out the way you want to. Right? That's part of the learning process. But it's a good thing to be aware of and try to make sure that you're not, you're avoiding where possible. Okay. So this screw goes in here, avoiding naughty puns. Rotate. So being aware of how your thing comes together and where all the forces lie on your project is very helpful. Okay. So just as before, I am getting them both most of the way down, and then I'll adjust them in once we get where we need to go. And then, as I mentioned, once this is done, which will take another half hour or so, I'm going to go on to painting some minis. Some minis for D&D. And I'll show you some of my process there. Okay, almost all the way in. There. I'll need to take a quick research break here in a minute. All right. It's going in nice and firm. And then the other side. Basically, you want them to go in like all the way, as far as you can go without splitting the wood or otherwise doing something that would damage it. Okay, there we go. And like I said as before, I can hopefully rotate those a little bit so they match. Okay, close enough. All right, so there are 3 sides. We'll do one more in a minute. I'll be right back in a few minutes.
A speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound, the amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman. Possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent. Send in Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Give me a follow-up on this bullet car story.
Attention. Destruction of the police station today was only a small demonstration of our power. Unless your mayor turns over the entire funds of the city treasury, power plants, firehouses, all municipal buildings will be next. Take heed. This is your last warning.
What are the authorities going to do about this, Mr. Mayor?
We won't be intimidated by criminal threats. Law and order must and will prevail.
presses have stopped. The press have stopped.
This looks like a job for Superman.
What's going to happen? Well, we'll have to find out some other time, sadly. All right, let's finish this up. Sorry for the delay. These things do happen. All right, so went down that much there. We'll do this one here. I'm glad I've managed to not install any of these upside down yet, which makes me kind of happy. All right, so we went down that far on that one, that far on that one. That's okay. Make sure we're level. Punch that in. Punch that in. All right. All right, nice. And again, I'm starting up here so that when I turn it, it's hanging from that screw, and it's a little easier to deal with. All right. There we go. Rotate. And just rotate that thing. I guess I could use the oh wow, it doesn't want to go in. That's weird. What's going on there? Is my bit just not getting in there? Yeah, it's not. Okay. The angle on the bit is not able to bite into this screw. Interesting. I'm sure I have another bit here somewhere, but that's fine. Annoying, but fine. You can see what I'm doing to my hand here. It's not blood or anything. It's just the gripping this is causing the skin to do unpleasant things. I'll probably get a blister. Such is life. This is getting kind of tough here. Tougher than it was before. There may be a knot in here in the wood. The wood may have a particular tough spot in it. That's okay, I'll get in. Just take some muscle grease, so to speak. Alright, almost all the way in. Screw. We'll be able to get this started. Yeah. Shank. Good, yeah. And so again, this is just a matter of screwing it in. But I'm almost done with this top run, which is nice. Then I'll move down to the bottom. Well, a little further down. Not all the way to the bottom, but far enough below that you can hang a hook, coat here, but it can hang below a coat. It's down here. I'll probably end up, I'll put this back up upright so I can look at it again and see what I'm doing. Always good to kind of double check what you're doing against reality and make sure that it's doing what you want it to, what your ultimate goal is, because it's easy in the moment to get distracted by what you're doing and forget your ultimate goal. True in many things. If I do say so myself. Alright, getting almost all the way in there. Get to the other screw. Okay. Okay. Getting it as far in as I can go. Yeah, alright. So there we go. Let's see where we are. Okay. So that's actually a little lower down. Than I originally planned. These probably be better to be a little higher up. That's okay. So we'll do another row down here for jackets that again kind of hang down there. It's actually kind of funny now that I look at it. Oh well. Huh. I certainly don't want to redo them. So mine's a little low. Yeah, oh well. Alright, so we want it down to about here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to measure like that to know I want them down about that far. Probably down that far. Yeah, okay. Okay, maybe a little further. No, that's about right. Okay. So that will end up being, so they'll end up actually, so that's the lowest one. Oops, sorry. Let's make you actually be able to see that. So if that's there, then it's actually going to be the lowest it'll be, and these will go up like that. I might have to go down a little further. But it's still, they need to be fairly high up. Okay. That will just be how it's going to have to be. Doo-doo-doo. Whoa. Okay. The bit got embedded in the wood, so hopefully I can pull it out. Feels like it's coming out. I'd have to unscrew it, and of course needle nose pliers aren't exactly ideal for this. But it does feel like I'm making some progress there. And I'll have to reapply the bit in there. Let me grab a better set of pliers. Okay. This should do much more nicely. Or maybe I'll just have to basically screw it out. So what happened there is that the drill bit just got pulled out of that. Actually, I might be able to. What am I doing? Put it back in, re-engage. Nope. Nope. It's not holding on enough. All right. Good. That's coming out. Okay, there we go. So, slight problem, easily fixed. Okay, get that nice and tight. All right. There we go. Alrighty. Make sure that's nice and tight. Alright. So, this guy goes here. Repeating our lesson. Get him in. Get it bit, so to speak. Here we are. Spin us around. Give you a better view. And in we go. This is a lot easier. At least at this stage. Yeah, it's starting to tighten up a bit. Noticeably. It's still a lot easier than the same moment, at the same position on the other, or the last hook. And now we've got some effort. But it's going in. Yeah. Might take a little longer than I thought, mainly because of that little adventure with the bit. But I think we'll get there in the next 20 minutes or so. Okay. Get the other screw started. There you are. Oops. Wait a minute. Didn't feel like it was in the right spot. There. That's where you should go. Oh, it's a bit of an angle there. All right. Huh. That's not going to work. I think I went a little wide with the hole, but I might be able to. Nope, really can't. But I can do that. Okay. So I kind of widened the hole, which is not something you normally want to do with screws. But I think it will enable it to bite in correctly. Nope, it's still too tilted. Another reason why you don't want to tighten one screw all the way in. Alright, let's see if that does it. It's going to end up going not quite into the right hole, but I think it will be close enough that we'll be able to get it in. Oh no, it's going in. Good. It's not even particularly hard to twist. I'll definitely have to look into one of those extenders. And see if I can't use that to do one of these screws. Basically just goes on like the end of a drill, and so you can put a rod on the end of the drill and then put your screw on your tip on the end of that, and then just screw in past obstacles is the idea. I don't know what it's actually called, but that would be useful. And I'm sure you can pick it up at a hardware store or a Home Depot type place for a couple of bucks. Alright. There we are. A few more turns. That should be in. A few more turns up here. It's definitely a little more trouble. Mainly because the other hole is much bigger, so there's less for it to grip onto. Okay, and one more. We'll do one more turn. Yep. All right. All right. So there's the 6th in, and now we'll go up from here. So that goes up about that much. Happy with that. Oh, I need my next set of screws. Do I have enough? I have enough, just. All right. So we mark, actually, can I just mark with the, yeah, I can. Mark with the tip of the screw. Good. It's light, but it's enough to see. Oops. I'm worried now. Getting close. It's exciting. Oh, no. Remember what you learned. Remember your lessons. Although, this might be a little harder. It'll be interesting. If I spin it. Oh, I just can't butt up against it. That's all right. This is where I wish the screws were maybe a little shorter. You know, much as I like the extra stability of them going all the way in, like, could have been a few millimeters shorter. But no. It's worth the extra effort now to make sure they don't fall off. Definitely. Alright, that one's going in nicely. Another advantage of doing a project like this, is that once you do a few of these screws, or these things, you get used to it, your body gets used to it, and so you start going in much more easily. Your body just gets used to the motion, which is true of so many things. A lot of this is just getting used to how this all should go. Getting used to the motions of whatever you're doing, whether it's painting or drawing or the guitar. You may have noticed I have a guitar over here. It's kind of out of the shot, but it's over there. You can see a little bit of it. It's another project I want to take on one of these days. Learning to play that. We'll see. Hello, viewer. Anonymous viewer. You're seeing me make something with my own two hands. And that's the exciting thing about this show. You know, even if other people never make this exact project, it's still fun to make something. It's still worth it to go through the process of building something and having a thing. And again, I mean, even if worse comes to worse, this was something I ended up not liking. It failed in some way, and I ended up having to throw it away. It's kind of worth it just to have made it. Like the act of creation itself was worth it. It's a strange thing. Alright. That one's in, nice and solid. Getting close. Go up a little further. This one. We mark it. Screw one. Screw two. You can see that. Ah! Happened again. The bit did not want to come out. Alright. Not sure why I come over here to do this. It just feels a little easier to get to it from here. And the thing is, I'm not only spinning to get this bit out, I'm also pulling upwards. Because the whole point of this is to get it, you know, out, not just to spin it around. But it's probably in there securely enough that it's, you know, it's dug in. So I've got to basically unscrew it. But if you don't exert that upward pressure, it's not necessarily, it might just spin in place. I mean, the reason it's stuck in there is that it's stuck. It bit down. It does seem to be coming. Yep. It's just kind of annoying. This is the last but one of these. There it comes. Of the hooks. It is. We'll tighten that up before. Actually, we'll tighten it up right now. Yep, an extra little tightening. Okay. Spin and get it in there. There we are. It's funny, everyone loves the anime streams. Some folks tune in for the drawing streams, but I got no one for this stream. Live, at least. I know I'll get some folks watching on YouTube, that's fine. I'm not complaining. It's just interesting, the differences in interest for a new show. And the anime's been around for a while. That's what folks are used to. Just gotta do this for a while and I'll find the audience. And they're all right side up, yay. Other things easy to forget. That one goes, okay, yeah. I think after this last one, I'll give my hand a break. Yeah, I'm gonna blister. Get that in there. More on this one. Wow. feels like it should be going in a little more easily than this, but I think it's just because I'm so close to the end, I'm getting impatient. But really, I think they've all gone about this like this in terms of effort when you get down this far. Yep, I'm just a little impatient. So that one's almost in. Ooh. Now this one's definitely takes more effort than the others. I'm barely managing 1/8 turns. Man, that's as far as that one's going. It could also be that I'm just tired. Well, okay. Like I said, that's as far as that's going. All right, we'll give that a quick rest. Guess I can go ahead and mark for this last one. Want that to go about that far. Yep. So yeah, we've done in 5-10 minutes or so. Once I've given this hand a little bit of a rest. And then we'll be done with the coat rack, which is nice and exciting. I'll probably end up putting a hat on the top just for fun. A little joie de vivre, you know? So, yeah, this certainly taken a little bit out of me, strength-wise. Not too bad. Not like, oh, I'll be really feeling this tomorrow, but there's some soreness in this arm. Go ahead and drill the holes. Doesn't take much strength to do that. Oh, man. Okay. This definitely is adding to the time. The sound effects help. What's annoying is that that's after I tightened it. So that again might be my strength leaving me when I'm tightening it. I can't exactly leave the bit in. Come on, you. Man. It does not want to come out. Alright. May have bent that a bit. Let's see. Nope. What's no? Yeah, it's a little bent. That's the problem. Okay. I have to be very careful here. And now, unfortunately, I have to throw away this bit. I just do not have the skills to fix it, unfortunately. All right. I feel like I've rested this enough for now. Still kind of sore, but I want to get this done, right? When you're this close to the finish line. Ooh, I can feel that. I can feel that. All right. Spin it round, baby. Spin it right round. Now I'm hoping with that bent bit, yeah, that made the hole a little larger, which means that the screw goes in much more easily. Good. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that turned out to happen for this last hook, because that makes it a little easier. It's not loose enough that I'm worried about the safety of it getting ripped out, but it's noticeably easier to get in. Oh yeah, that's so much easier. I'm afraid if I went one more bit size up, then it just would have been too big, and I would have, these would have been almost loose in here. They wouldn't have been able to bite into the wood. So sometimes you have to live with that that difference there, where you got to be a little more forceful drilling in. Few more screws, a few more rotations here, another minute or so of this, and we should be done. That'll be a relief. Definitely a bit of a project. Boy, there are always some trials and tribulations on your way, moments when you feel frustrated, but if you just push through them, most of the time you can finish it, get it done one way or the other. All right. That's getting very tight. I think we're, yeah, that's as far as I can go there. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's it. Oh, sorry, I got off camera there. This moved around somewhat. All right. May have avoided a blister. Well, a little bit of a blister. We'll see. Let's move this off. Oops. Oop. There you go. There's your coat rack. Cool. I'm very happy with that. So this will go out in the other room. Oh, one more thing. Not quite done yet. Almost forgot. Got to put those pads on. So, yeah. I've got these heavy-duty felt pads. They're like a dark brown. And what I'm going to try to do here is redo some of these screws. Oop. That's as fine as that one's going. Same thing here. Okay, that's as far as that one's going. So what we do is we tear off, get into these pads. Doesn't want to let us in. definitely not frustration-free packaging. And then we're just going to put some of these, gosh. Okay. Put some of these pads on here. Which I believe you just peel off the backing there. Actually, what I might do, yeah. I'm not going to put it directly on the screw itself. I'm going to put it like right next to it so that there's a little bit more surface area for it. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of sitting precariously on top of the screw. But if it's covering part of the screw, but also a lot of that wood, that should be better. All right. Same thing there. And this is going on carpet. I mean, that's not great, but no one's going to see it, right? It's purely functional. Same thing there, I think. No, we went down like that. Okay. No, I think we should be up here. All right, just messing around, and then we'll do one at the bottom or in the center. Ooh. Peeled off some skin there. Lost some skin on the thumb. It's just the upper layer of skin. I don't think I'm bleeding or anything. All right. Again, pad goes there. All right, so there's our pads. I'm okay with that. I might actually I'm going to run some more pads around the edges because I have them, and I might as well give it a little extra stability all the way around. Right? Like, why not improve what I've got here? If these backings would come off, gosh. And it'll be a little uneven, but yeah, it's on a carpet floor, so that'll help with the unevenness. Otherwise, I'd be a little more concerned. I'd probably put like a pad down on the entire thing. You know, I'd like screw the entire thing to another board that was really flat. Okay. There we go. That should do. Cool. All right. So that project's done. I'm going to go ahead and grab a bandage for this. Again, it's not bleeding. It's just a little bit of top skin that's peeled away, and I just want to make sure I don't get anything on that. Give me 30 seconds. So I feel this is another important lesson, namely, expect to get a few wounds, you know? You're probably going to have things like this happen, and it's okay. There we go. Not the end of the world. And again, I'm not bleeding. I just want to protect some sensitive areas. All right, so now let's move some of these things out of the way so I can get on to project numero 2 tonight. Painting some minis. I like to toss things away when I can. When it's like, okay, you know, that is trash. I can just throw it away. Other things will go in recycling and other such things. All right. And get a few of these tools out of the way. And then we will start on some painting. Let's go over here. Actually, to that point, I need to lower things. We're moving down in the world. Yeah. Because it's going to be really hard for me to paint standing up. So we'll get this down. And get the chair over here. Okay. So what do we got? Here's our work area. And here's what we'll be working on. Got a lot of minis I want to paint tonight. Might not get to all of them, but we'll see. Also got to glue some things. So gluing is a little complicated. Not complicated, but it adds to the number of things to keep track of. All right, so we'll grab some glue, and I think I got everything else over there. Paints. Oh, I need paints. Where's the paint? Paints are right here. So, like I said, we're going to do some painting here. Very, very excited for this. So what we got here are a couple of things. Where's the head of the... Oh, it's right here. So this is a treant in D&D, or more exactly, this is a treant in D&D. See if we can't get a focus on that. Apparently not. There we are. Just need to be more in the center. Maybe. You gonna focus? Nope, just gonna go right past it. Hello. Will never understand the this camera what it decides to focus on. That's a little better. Okay, so that's a nope, and it bounces right out. So bizarre. So that's a treant. It also has little arms. And so I want to finish gluing this or painting this. Right now it's a very you can see a dark brown with some green on it. But the tree bark is actually kind of silvery gray. It's a kind of a well, it's a gray, really. If you look at actual real trees in real life, the bark is gray. So this dark brown is going to serve as an undercoat, and I'm going to just what's called dry brush some gray onto this, which will give it the appropriate sort of color. So I'll have kind of three colors all blending in: the dark brown, the dark green, and then a fair amount of this gray. And I'll do the same thing on the leg, on the arms, and then this is going to stay as it is. What I've done here is simply painted with 3 different colors of green. I did an overall base coat of kind of a medium green, and then I brushed on some dark green, with what's called a dry brush, so very little paint on the brush, and then went over and again with a lighter green, lighter than those other 2 colors, and that gives a nice mottled effect for the tree and the leaves. So we got that. Then I've got these guys. I'm gonna glue this one together, so I'll do that next. These are called 1T brood guards. They are nasty little buggers that guard various sacrifices for the 1T. And unfortunately, I have to assemble these in multiple parts. So I have to print, and I did 3D print them. So I printed the main body and then the arms in 2 pieces. The arms tend to break off. But I'm going to go ahead and glue these together now. So this is glued when it comes time for me to paint them. And the glue is hardened when it comes time to paint them. So I'm just using a normal, like a super glue-ish, thing here. Just a, generic version of super glue. Putting that on there and then just holding it for a few seconds. This is a super glue gel. Okay, and that's holding pretty well. Let that sit there for a little while. And I did not actually slice this very well, so I kind of have to put them on there and use a bunch of glue around it. It's not a straight seam, so I have to kind of put it on the very tip and then put a bunch of glue on the gap to to make it work, which is, you know, so I'm going to put some glue here. So what I end up doing is putting glue on the edge of this joint, a fair amount actually, and then oops, almost broke that, and then I put my arm on it, and it's a really weird position because it's right on the tip of that joint, but if I hold it there, the glue is enough to hold it, hopefully. I mean, barely. But then once it's held, yeah, I can put more glue in the joint, and that will fill it up and kind of fill that joint. So I'm now putting a whole bunch of super glue in that joint, and that will essentially give it a full joint. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, I'm going to wait a few moments for that joint to dry. Might as well. Like, you don't need to rush that one. This dries so quickly, you know, you might as well hold off. So let me adjust our lights a little bit. Okie doke. I keep having this problem where this side of my face is like hugely lit. It's ugly, that guy, even though it's pointing down there. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I think that's enough to let that dry. It's not fully dried, but it's enough to where it's not going to fall off. And then again, same idea over here. So I'm going to put some glue on the very tip of this. This is a good example of where if your pieces aren't, you know, don't fit exactly, you can often make it work by just putting enough super glue on there to make it stick where you want it to stick, and then using some extra glue as a filler. Very useful. Even with my shaky hands. You can see my hands constantly shake. Oops. Yep. This might not be enough with my shaky hands to hold it in place. Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe. Okay, I think if I now fill it in, and just keep it, maybe I can adjust the position slightly. Okay, I'm just going to hold that. I'm not touching it, but I'm making sure that it doesn't fall over, basically. That's fine, and I will go ahead and cap that so super glue doesn't get everywhere. Rather important. Okay. Hold that for a few more moments, and then we will have our 3 brood guards. My 3 brood guards. I also have here I believe it's a Gazeri, just a little monk type dude. And the nice thing is that the monk type dudes have green skin. The brood guards have green and red skin, while these guys have red skin. These Hezru, which are also nasty guys you don't necessarily want to get involved with in any way, shape, or form. So I can kind of use these base colors to paint them down, and then I'll add more color on top of that, but those are convenient kind of starter colors. This is a thing I think is really important about painting, is that as far as I'm concerned, just start by painting them all a single color. And if that's all you ever do, that's fine. And now you have, you know, red dudes and blue dudes and green dudes. And then you can always add more highlights and add more stuff over time. But you know, don't be intimidated by saying, oh, I have to have this incredible painting job. Just do a solid color. Grab some water, which is right over here. They're a little parched. Okay. I have another about 40 minutes to go here, and we'll see how far we can get. All right. So I think I'm going to start with that gray color for this guy. I'm actually going to move some of these guys over to one side. off of my main. In fact, I'm going to fold them all the way. I'm going to fold all these guys off to one side. Actually, I might put them here. Yeah, that way they're kind of. Oh, no. Bad, Brent. See, I got in the way of those things. They're now falling. All right. So hold on. Ah, that's falling. I got to be careful here, because you can get in with some. Okay, yeah, those guys are falling off. All right, so I'm going to redo those here. Fair enough. I was a little too optimistic in terms of letting that stuff hadn't dried yet. So let me redo that. Like I said before, we'll have a nice big dollop of glue on the end here. And I'm going to go big with the glue. And put him there. I'm going to try to hold that in place. Sorry, you can't see that. You can't see it anyway. If I can get this to not fall, then I will put a whole bunch of glue all around it. So anyway, this is exactly what I did for the other two, and it came together swimmingly. But this guy is being a little trickier. Yeah. Okay, I think I can. Oh, jeez. Oop. All right, big old glob of glue. You gotta be careful here because you don't want to get glue on yourself. And the more I try to hold it, the more I tend to wiggle it, and the more it tends to fall. The more likely it is to fall. So I'm hoping I can. Oh, man. Okay, so what's going on here is, this might also be the glue is a little ineffective, because it was holding like great before. All right, more glue, plenty more glue. I'm just going to hold it there for like 30 seconds and hope I don't have any glue on my hands. Again, I'm sorry you can't see this. There. Because if there's any glue on my fingers, I'm binding my fingers together. Pretty sure I'm not. It's kind of annoying. But if I can get this done, then they will be dried by the time I'm ready to actually paint them. All these micro movements in my fingers, I'm afraid, is breaking the bond of the glue. Ah, okay, that's holding. So, I'm going to put this... Oh, nope. Ah! Okay. Let's try there. What I'm concerned about is that it's staying wet. Like, I'm putting two pieces together, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but we're just staying wet. And I'm like, it's super glue. It's supposed to bond in like seconds. So I think this super glue may just be old. Or just not happy. And granted, I am trying to bond to very, very small surface areas. And constantly messing it up. Okay, so that's just not working. Okay. Well, one thing I can do, potentially, is paint each of these guys, each of the two arms separately, and then glue them on later. It'll look a little weird, but it's doable. It's not great, but it's fine. All right. let's move on. So I'm going to keep these guys on the newspaper so we don't get too much everywhere. I also want to, before I go any further, I have some spare, well, we'll see. So let me spread out my newspaper. Have a little more space on which to paint. And then let's go ahead, give myself a little bit more viewing area, and we'll mix up our gray. So gray is quite simply, you know, black and white, but I'm going to mix in a little bit of that brown. And the way I like to do this is with popsicle sticks. Now, black tends to overwhelm white. Okay, so I like to go light on the black, if you will. And then we'll throw in some white, you know, a fair amount of white. I'll need a fair amount of paint here, so I'll probably need multiple dippings. But you can see how, even with that much, I'm getting, you know, that seemed like a lot more white than black. I'm still getting a fairly medium color there. And I definitely need more. So let me go ahead and do the same idea again. I'll need a fair amount of black, fair amount of white. It's not a lot of paint. And I just realized I can probably make use of, oops, I had a little on my finger. In fact, let's just go ahead and, I don't like using this many, you know, popsicle sticks, but sometimes you gotta. All right. Let's mix this up. But yeah, I can use extra gray for the other colors. Gray is a nice, fairly neutral color. So there's a fairly deep gray. And now to this, again, as I planned, I'm going to add some medium brown, just to give it an extra tint of something, you know, just to give it an extra warmth, if you will. And it shouldn't be very noticeable, but yeah, it gives it a nice warmth. All right. And we'll stir that in. Okay. That's a fair amount of paint. Should be enough for what I want to do. And now we will dry brush this on. So again, the idea here is we're going to dry brush. So we're going to take a little bit of the color on our brush and then essentially get almost all of it off, and then brush onto our target. And what ends up happening is, took off a bit too much. You get it kind of on the edges, on the top of it, but not everywhere. So you're not covering it with the paint, but it really starts to add dimension and kind of a sense of depth to it. And it looks a little more realistic because you have like shadows and you have various other colors working in any given thing. And this really makes it feel like, oh yeah, this has this sense of reality to it. And you can already see how, and I'm a little more liberal with this than I would otherwise be, because again, I don't want this to look brown. I want this to look more silvery than otherwise. So I'm okay with covering a fair amount of that brown, you know, more of that brown than I would otherwise want to for a dry brush. But if I just slathered on, you can't see that at all. Sorry. Yeah, so if I just loaded up this brush with the gray, then it would just be a solid gray. But if I do it like this, then you get a variety of color. And again, it just looks more realistic. Brush that off. Now, you also want to pay attention a bit to actual natural colors. And where colors are actually going to be. So on something like this, you can kind of go into some of these spots that would normally be a little darker. So I just dumped some gray down in here where I had some lighter brown, because that's kind of a shadow, and so I want it to be darker. I'm okay with it having almost essentially solid gray in there. That gets across the idea of shadow. Similarly, I'm going to go fairly heavy with it near the top, because that's going to be underneath this huge canopy. So it makes sense for that to be a little darker. Don't go too crazy, but it's a good starting point. Similarly, I think the base should be darker. So I'm going to go a little heavier on the feet with this gray color. And we get this nice added sense of reality and depth. Okay, go inside a bit, inside of the legs. The other thing I like about this is it dries pretty quickly, so you can actually pick it up and spin it, and it's not getting, you're not brushing much of the paint off. I'm actually pretty happy with that. So there's the body of our treant, our sort of ent person. Now we still have the arms, so I want to do the same thing with the arms. And I actually just realized, since I am dry brushing, I didn't need nearly as much paint as I thought I did. But that's all right. Like I said, I can reuse that gray in my next thing, I think. Okay, so I'm just dry brushing up this gray. I'm more brushing it on, actually. And there's a lot of gray going on there. And then same thing here. Leave a little bit of that green visible, hopefully. Maybe. Get across that idea of some moss growing on him, maybe. Although I think this is more or less covering up all the green. I think if I wanted to get across that moss, I would need another coat of the green. Yeah, that's all right. There'll be little bits here and there of the green. It'll come across. Okay, good. Nice and dark. Okay, that's that. And again, I'll glue all these together when I'm done, but I'm essentially done with the treant. All right, I've got no significant paint on here, a little bit, but it's dried. So what next? So now I want to move on to my big baddies here. Again, they're going to be red. There's a lot of red on there, so I think I'm just going to add some red to the gray and see what I come up with. A lot of red there. And I want this to be a darker red. So, I don't want just a straight up bright red for these sort of demonic creatures. All right, I did not do too much, that amount of red, so I'm going to need a lot more red. Good to know. I'm just going to have to get a little paint on me. I'm going to get paint all over my fingers. Yeah, that gray is really sopping up the red. I'm going to need a lot more red. Interesting. Getting sort of a purple now. Which is a cool color, but not what I'm going for. Yeah. All right, I need a paper towel or something here. I'm okay with some paint on me. Not a big deal. Bunch more red. Bunch more red. Wow. I'm going kind of nuts here, guys. But let's see what I get. Alright, I'm getting a purple. Interesting. I'm not happy with this. That is not the color I'm going for. And I can't think of anything I can use it for. Alright, so this is a color fail. So what I'm going to do now is, yeah, I'm going to have to dump this out and do this again. So let's see what's going on with Superman.
Up in the sky! Look! It's a plane! It's Superman! Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings single bound. This amazing stranger from the planet Krypton. The Man of Steel. Superman. Possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent. Send in Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Give me a follow-up on this book story.
Metropolis. Attention. The destruction of your police station today was only a small demonstration of our power. Unless your mayor turns over the entire funds of the city treasury, power plants, firehouses, and all municipal buildings will be next. Take heed. This is your last warning.
Oh, I didn't realize that restarted. Thought that would continue. Oh well. All right, so we're gonna remix our colors here. Like I said, I want a dark red, but the red and the gray was just making this weird purple that I didn't like. So we're gonna start this again with a big old dollop of red. Here's a big old dollop of red. And I'm going to have to, yep, just, that's done. And then a little bit, yeah, a little bit of black. And again, this black can really overwhelm your color. So I like to start, it's going to be a little bit, not quite enough. I like to start with very little of any darker color. See, it's already really darkening it up. I went with too much black. And I'm getting kind of that purple again. But I can salvage this. I can add some more red to this and get my nice. I want something kind of in between that and the candy apple red I have here. So, hopeful. Can add enough red to brighten that back up. Wow. Need a lot more. Okay. I have another bottle of red, by the way, over here, in case I need it. I need more popsicle sticks here pretty soon, too. It'll be an Amazon run. Okay, let's see what this does. Still pretty dark. Wow, yeah, that black just sops up the red. I got some black on there. Dang it. Just keep going through the popsicle sticks. I should pull these out in that bag because it's getting really annoying. Alright. Let's just use up like all of the red. And I can use this for multiple minis, so I'm not too horrified. Alright. So that's more like it. That's still actually pretty close to that purpley I didn't like before. But it's still pretty dark. Definitely darker than the candy apple red I want. Man. Alright, let's dump in some more. I'm not happy yet. Let's empty out the bottle. Might as well. See if I can get there. Okay. So we've got this. Jeez. Alright. That's not bad. I can live with that. I can use that. I probably wouldn't have been this this willing to go far if I didn't have a whole extra bottle of red, I'll be honest. But, okay. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and paint up these guys basically entire fully red. And then they'll eventually get other things on top of that. But this will give us a base color to go off of. And I realized I already used some of this. I already used this for the gray before. So I should have washed my brush and gone with something more clean. But whoopsie, such is life. All right, so here's this red going on. It's again sort of a purpley red. Hopefully it'll dry a little bit brighter. Now I can save this by basically putting it in plastic wrap, which I might do. I made up so much of this color. I might put it in like a plastic bag, zip it up, and it'll keep for a while. See if there are any other minis where I want to use this color or a variant of on. Can always brighten it up a bit. Could add some white to that. You know what? Get a better color maybe. Okay. An interesting idea. Another thing I've learned when doing monsters is it's not a bad idea to slightly change the shade of your colors. So even if your monsters are canonically a certain color scheme on their skin, one can be a slightly brighter color than the other, or a slightly darker color, and by doing that, it's a little easier to manage them on the battlefield. You can go, oh, I want to go with that one, the whiter one, the lighter one, and so I'm just slathering paint on these for now. I'm trying not to get any on the base, but if I do, I'm not, you know, I'm not going nuts, because that's almost inevitable, especially when you're not very skilled. It's like, okay, there's a little on the base, no big deal. I'm learning how to be more careful, but whatever. You know, the important thing is to get it covered. But you don't want to go too nuts on that either. Like, you don't want to just slather it with paint so it's this really, really thick coat. Because if you do that, then it tends to be sort of oddly, it'll dry weirdly. You'll get weird lumps and clumps. So just try to be careful there. Okay, I'll probably come back in and make these feet like black or gray or something. Give them a nice, you know, claw-like color. But for now, don't need to do that. And getting a little on the base, but like I said, not the worst thing in the world. Especially when you're starting off. Don't expect the world out of yourself. Now the Hezro have these black horns on the top of their heads. Obviously, I'm not making these tops that color, but I can come back in with black and touch those up. So again, the whole point here is just to get a base coat of my color, and then eventually I can always come back in and add other layers to give it a sense of depth and dimension. So here I'm just making sure that I've covered every bit of the original plastic with my base color. Alright, I think that's it. Oh, a bit more on the side of there. There. A bit more down there. Good. Alright, so there's my Hezro. Just colored up with some, like I said, this basic dark red paint. And actually, let's go ahead and, whoops. Gotta be careful there. I'm just going to move some of these paints off to the side so I'm not constantly mucking about with paint. Because I definitely have plenty of my my red there. Yeah, it's a nice color. I'll definitely see if I can use that somehow. Where's my other Hezro? Right there. So we'll just lay down our base color. Best we can. Oh, one other thing I want to do is I'll give the treant eyes, black eyes, and I'll just use a toothpick and go in with some black and just put some dots in on where the eyes should be, and that'll give them a little extra life. Something I learned. You know, eyes are very important to communicating a creature's soul. You know, the eyes are the windows of the soul and all that. So just adding a little indication of eyes, whether it's, you know, beady little red eyes for monsters, things like that. I love using little dots of red for the eyes of my monsters. Or black for a lot of them as well, or instead, black works very well. Black works for most creatures. If you want something really evil, give them nice red eyes, little pinpricks of red. So yeah, and like I said, what I love about these acrylics, And these are just store-bought acrylics. I actually got these at Target, I think. Yeah, Target. Is that they dry really quickly. So I could probably add some more onto these things, you know, in half an hour. So you can really, you know, you can paint a few things, and by the time you're done with the first set, you can go with the, you know, 9th or 10th mini you're painting, you can go back to the first one you started painting and add another layer. That's really nice. I might do some wet brushes with these, which is just making a very watered down version of a color, and painting on with that. That tends to seep into the little areas deep into the miniature. So it's good to do like a black wash, a black wet wash, or a wet black wash, or however you call that, because that'll seep in and it'll give it a sense of shadows, deep shadows. And these minis are large enough that I think that would have an effect. I'm not sure though. Add some nice dimension to your figurines. But on something like really small, you're probably not going to see it. Probably not going to have as much effect. So as I said before, what I'm going to do here is basically go in and I'll reuse this same color on the Broodguard creatures here as a sort of an interior color, and then a green on the exterior of them. So I can use this color multiple times for multiple things, which is awfully convenient. One thing I'm trying to learn as well is how much paint's on my brush, so I can kind of go in there and dip and just get like a little bit on the tip, and then go in and just apply that much to the edge of something or the tip of something. But that's definitely a skill. But it's a skill you can get better at. And how else do you get better at something than by practicing it and figuring out how to do it better? So there's that. Get up that leg. Feet are a little tedious, especially detailed feet like these. Yep, got some on the base. Obviously, I say don't worry about it, but then I note when it happens, so I'm paying attention to it. So I'm not totally unaware about getting paint on the base. But I think that's, you know, that's not the worst attitude to say, you know, it's not going to keep me up at night. I'm also aware of it. Like, I'm trying to get better at it. Got to find that balance. All right. Get a good amount of paint on here and fill in these areas. A lot of little spots that need. There we go. Sometimes you end up rubbing a little bit of it off as you rub paint on various spots. You know, it's not quite as full of a coat as you think. So it's worth double checking your mini to say, oh yeah, I didn't quite get in there as fully as I thought. Okay, I think a little bit on the side there. Yeah. Look at it from all angles. All right. So there's our heads roll. In this one simple color. And as I said before, you know, it's totally okay to just say, oh, there's a hedgerow. It's all dark red. People will be like, oh, cool. But we don't have to stop there. We are going to do, though, is try to get these arms on. I have this extra bottle of Gorilla Glue that I found a while back. I don't know if I can even open it, but if I can, I'm going to see if I can use this, if it's still even usable for this guy. It's coming down a bit. It is flowing, if slowly. Oh, we are getting some glue. It's very goopy. Get him off there and put him here. It's very goopy. I'm just going to hold it. Feels like it's working. Unfortunately, you have to hold this for a while. Nope. I'm hopeful if I hold this for maybe 60 seconds, then it will be, you know, solid enough that I can then fill in around it. I have a whole bunch of glue around it, but that could keep it on. I really want 3 of these guys. If I only end up with 2, I can live with that. And of course, I can always paint more of these. I can always fiddle with these and do them later. Okay, good. Like I said before, I'm going to add some extra, whoops. Oh, that's right. Gotta let it goop down. Add some extra glue around that arm to form sort of a glue connection. All right, I'm gonna risk it. Add a bunch here. It's yellow. I don't know if you can tell how yellow it is, which normally would worry me, but I'm gonna paint all these. So it's like, it can be whatever color you want. Oops. I'm just going to hold that there. Just going to hold it. Oop. It's not much fun, but it's important. It's one of those, how else is this going to stick? So what I'll definitely do next time I want to make one of these is I'll go in and add some more material, actually slice away a little bit more material so that the arm is connecting to a straight spot, you know, to a straight joint instead of to kind of the edge of a joint. I can slice off with a little bit more here and make it so that, okay, good, that's, whoa, nope, that's not holding. It was kind of holding temporarily. This is definitely older glue. It's not bonding that quickly, but it is bonding eventually. But I will need more. Yeah, it's getting goopy, but not enough to hold. All right. That's a lot of super glue, Gorilla Glue. Ooh, it's almost like honey now. All right, so this is gonna be my last chance. If this doesn't hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this doesn't hold after holding this for say 60 seconds, then I'm gonna go ahead and just let it be, and I'll paint the rest of them, and that's fine. You know, I'll let this one stay broken, and I'll come back and fix it some other time, or print a new one with a better set of joints. I think I'm gonna go for like 1.5 minutes on this, because why not? Just look down there at the clock. And here's hoping. This is part of figuring out 3D printing and minis and all that stuff, is how everything goes together. That's a whole part of it. And it's not complicated. It's just something where sometimes you make something and it's not quite right. Alexa heard me and decided to say something. That's kind of creepy. This is feeling, I don't know. I can't really tell if this is solid or not. I want it to be solid, but I can't tell. But we'll find out in a few moments. Definitely want a drink, though. I'm parched. Okay. Take it away. It's loose, but it's not falling down yet. So I'm just going to put it off to the one side. I'm actually going to put it off to one side and kind of support it that way so it's basically pointing upwards. And hopefully I won't bash into it. All right. So these guys have basically red on the inside of their bodies, right? Hello, I can't see you in the chat room, but I can see you in the chat room. So I'm just going to paint their chests and sort of the inside of their arms, and just the inside of that body this color. And I'll go back over this again with the green and sort of fill in so I can be... so I'm okay with this kind of going everywhere. Because again, I'll be refilling it with the green. I'll be going back over with the green and giving the green the full positioning. So the green will kind of mask the edges. So it can be a little messy. All right, I'm going to go all the way up to the chin with this red. And then, like I said, I think I'll go inside of the legs like that. And inside of the legs like that. Down there. The feet will be a completely different color. But let's give us a, you know, let's fill maybe half of the leg with that color. All right. So, once again, I'm being kind of liberal with this color, so I can always blend in more of the green. All right. I'll actually go into the palms a bit with that color. I kind of like that idea. Okay, so there's the inside of that. Same idea here. Get on the chest, torso, inside of the legs, and I will undoubtedly have to, I don't have a green here, so I'll have to mix my own green, which means I'll have to goop this into a plastic bag here. Then we'll do the green. So we'll do that red all there. Inside of that arm. And then this guy's actually missing a finger. It broke off while I was fiddling with it. And I've decided that in the lore, this guy just doesn't have a thumb there. You know, just doesn't have a thumb. And it's just what he's like. All right, so there's the red on the inside of that creature's body. Let's see how we are with this guy. Nope, he's still drying. So, what I'm going to do, actually, very carefully, is I'm going to paint the inside. I'm not going to paint the arms. So this guy's going to have basically no red on the inside of his arms, but I can do the red on the rest of the inside of his body, and he'll just be a variant. That's not the worst thing in the world. Not the craziest solution. And there we go. Try not to knock into that the other side of it, into either of those arms that are still drying. Okay. There we go. I can leave him here. So hopefully those will be okay. All right. So there's the use of that red. This guy again, he has a green sort of skin color. So we need green for him. So let's go ahead and take care of this color. I'm going to grab a bag and we're just going to play around with that for a second. I've never tried to save paint like that. I've put like plastic bags over something like that, but I never tried to like put it into a bag and save it for later. So I don't know if this is going to work at all. But what I'll do is, and I need some way of scooping it in. What's the best way to do this? Let me think. I need something to scoop that into there. What else? And I'm hoping if I basically, remove all of the air from this, it will stay dry. Or I'm sorry, it will stay wet. Don't want it to be dry. And I can reuse, some of that paint later. Oops, got some paint on the... See, I'm not being very careful here. Got some paint on the lip. All right. Let's see how much of this I can save. I think this is going to be my... I can do one more, and then I'm hitting the law of diminishing returns. Yeah, okay. And where's my... I had a little... That's good. Alright, 1 second while I get this off. Alright. I'm just getting as much of that paint off of there as possible. And then I'm just gonna do this. Alright, so there's some paint in there. Again, I don't know if that's gonna last any length of time, but it's a fair amount of paint, so we'll see. Alright, so let me show you a little bit of a panel. And then I will be back. As I rinse this out, we'll do our green. I've developed a model of anime history, not that kind of model. This kind of model. This is my timeline of the anime that I think either were revolutionary or were markers of revolutions that were happening in anime at the time. And we'll be going through each of these and explaining all of this. So you'll see, far left, there's Astro Boy. He's going to start with Astro Boy, right? Wrong. To understand something, you must understand where it came from. Most anime are adaptations of something. What is the most popular adaptation source? No. Manga. Correct. So, that's a manga for most. Start with prehistory. Does anyone recognize that name? Yes. I hope so. Those who don't, you recognize this. Yes. This is a great Reiwa Kanagawa, the artist Hokusa, who was a famous and excellent artist. I need to turn that off. It's completely wrong. An excellent artist in the late 1700s, early 1800s in Japan. There was a recent anime film called Miss Hokusai, which talks about part of life. Besides being a great painter, he would go out and sit on a lawn on a hill and watch samurai as they were practicing not only swordplay, but also essentially martial arts, what you would do if you were grappling somebody. So you'd sit down and he'd draw what they were actually, what the grips would be, and what that actually meant and what they were trying to do. What's that? That's a comic. Hokusai was drawing comics somewhere in the 18 teens. In fact, he collected all of these into a book that he called... All right, enough of that. Let's mix up a dusty green. So I'll use blue and red, and again, maybe I need a little bit of black. I'm learning my lesson now to be very careful with your blacks. All right, so I'll need a fair amount of it, not huge, but significant. So let's start there. And see if we can double dip. Oh wait. No, that's okay. That's my yellow. Okay. So let's just mix these two together and see what we get color-wise. Remember, this yellow is a little thick, so... Oh, that's nice. And it's quite nice. Yeah, that's good. That's actually almost, that's exactly what I wanted. Not a bright green, but sort of a dusty green. Okay, good. I'm happy. Let's get that in there. All right. Can't really avoid getting paint on you, although I can go ahead and probably should have these guys on all the time when I'm painting. Works for the one hand, would work for the other. But it's hard to have the fine motor control. Oh, that's right. Do I still want this? I actually don't. I want a finer tip. I'll wash that off, but I'll move on to another brush for now. All right, we'll get our paints out of the way so we're not knocking those over. Okay. So, as I mentioned, these guys have green backs. Although I might go... No, that's good. These guys have green skin. I don't think they have any... They have no green on them, but that's okay. So, I'm going to pick these guys back up. Actually, he looks a little more dry. And I'm going to hold it like this. I'm just going to put green all over them. Nothing too crazy there. I'll definitely come back over this later on. Whoops. Yeah. And add maybe some black highlights or something. Like this definitely feels like it could use a better color scheme. Actually, now that I'm putting this on, I think it needs to be a little darker. I think it really does need to be a little darker. I just don't like the contrast. Yeah, it's sort of a Christmassy green and red. Okay, so I do need to add a teensy bit of black. Teensy. I'm going to go as light as possible on the black. Yeah, that's already making it significantly darker. I could go a little darker than that, though. Yeah. Slightly darker. But again, I'm just going to barely... Well, okay, that's a little silly. Okay. That's better. That's definitely, that's closer to what I'm looking for. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay. Glad I did that. That's feeling not quite as ridiculous. Okay. A little hard to hold these guys without breaking things off. So, just gonna put him right on there. It's not massively darker, but it's just dark enough to give it a little, to make it feel a little closer to that red. You know, it's weird having this bright green, not a bright green, but a serious green next to this dark red color. Yeah, okay. End up looking a little odd. This will definitely be improved with some extra coloring of on the green. So if I have a kind of a mottled, so I think if I have a mottled black and green, then a mottled red and you know, dark red and black and dark green, black and dark red, that'll help too. I'm hopeful. Okay. Ooh, over here. On this side of the arms. Do those. And this is what the monster manual shows, is they have these sort of green, green on one side and red on the inside. But I may have messed up that that color scheme a little bit. I mean, I may be going a bit too far one way or the other. We'll find out. But again, it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, you want these things to be distinctive, and they're definitely distinctive. And like I said, I think I'll go back over and make those. Yeah, I want those to be like black, black talons, not red, not green or red. And I'm actually going to do a wash, or dry brush rather, for blending between the green and the red. So I'll do that here in a second. Once I have this green everywhere I want it, covering all the white, then I can go in and kind of blend the two, I hope. Oh, I need to do the head. And I can't forget that the treant's eyes either. Now, some would say, oh, leave the teeth white, and I agree with them, but boy, that's hard. So I'm going to try, but we'll see what happens. All right. And there's the top of the head. Make that all nice and green. Okay. And now I'm going to go in the top of the head. And, okay. So now I'm just getting a bunch of that paint off the brush, and then I'm going in to the edge where the green and the red are, and just dabbing it in there. And that adds some green in the middle, and just kind of enough to blend the edges of the two. A little bit. And it just makes it look a little more natural. You know, you don't want this very, very firm line between the red and the black. You want this sense that it's a coloration. So I'm just kind of scrubbing in that that middle ground, get a little more green here, and then I can draw in that edge. Okay. Not bad. Okay. And you can actually brush in a little bit of green on the bottom of it. Because again, it's a creature. It's not going to be a uniform color. So if you brush a little bit of the one color onto the other, it looks a little more natural in this odd way. There we go. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. Okay, so here's our brood guard, excuse me, and it's going to refuse to focus, but we've got a sort of a nice combination of colors there. Okay, same thing on the other guy. Whoop. Careful not to break it off. All right. So again, now we're just getting the main colors in. Getting the basically covering the white with green to start off with, or that back color, and then you can get in and blend between the two. One thing I would love at some point to play around with is having one of those hands that just grips onto something and holds it for you. Those like helping hands, I think they call them. Those seem very helpful. But we'll see. See if I ever get to the point where I really need them. They do feel like they're a little silly in terms of, you know, do you really need something like that? Like they maybe they're useful. I'm sure they're useful. But maybe for me they're just a little bit much. Okay, there's that. That arm, need a little bit more back there. The funny thing about this is that when you print it with supports, you end up with some kind of stubble along the side of the arms from where you pull the support material away, at least when I print them. And it actually adds a bit to the sense that the arms are kind of covered with rippling muscles, or there's more going on with the arms than just these sort of cylinders coming down. So it's kind of a nice nice accident. Ooh, that arm's about to break off. Okay. Gotta be careful there. Yeah, that arm's held on by a wing and a prayer. Okay. Gotta be more careful. May have to add some more glue to that at some point. Almost certainly will have to. Okay, get some more green onto this guy. I'm really happy with how these are turning out. And the other nice thing about this sort of coloration is, again, you think about creatures in the wild, they're not going to have exactly the same coloration everywhere. So if there's a little bit more green on one area, a little bit more red on another area, that's fine. That's actually very normal for a creature of the wild. All right. And hopefully I can grip it from down here and get my head painted up. I'm just going to have some green on the bottom there. That's interesting. So we have, again, some variation here in these guys. Bit of a Skeksis head on them. Might end up giving them a different coloration on the top of the heads too. That's one way of giving some easy variation to your enemies, is by giving their heads, like, you know, a bony ridge that has different colors, so folks can point and say, oh, I'm targeting the one with the yellow bony ridge. Okay, then again, I'm kind of blending in. Oops, too much on there. Blending in the edges. Whoa. Without breaking off my arm. Yeah. Okay. Get a bit more on the brush. And then blend in that edge. Blend in that edge. And blend in down here. Along the edge of the leg. Both sides. So it's not quite as sharp. Actually, I can use a bit more paint there, because there's some white showing through. Bit more paint. There we go. Get all that paint off and blend that. There we go. Nice. And then, as I said before, I'm going to grab some of this paint and dry brush some onto the torso and just kind of work it in into the rest of it, so there's a variation of the color. There's actually a lot of green in that one. That's all right. So he has kind of this variation in coloration. All right. Cool. So there's our brood guard there. Now let's go ahead and, you know, he needs some extra paint on his jaw. That just doesn't look right. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in those, fill in those teeth. Like, I know they're supposed to be white, but I just can't deal with them. It just looks weird. My fault. They just look weird. Okay. All right, and then this guy needs some paint on the top of his head, which I probably brushed off as I was dealing with him. Same thing here. Got some areas that I seem to have missed. I want to go in now that I'm looking, and I can see spots where, and I may have been holding on to it at that spot and brushed some of the paint off. Okay, and again, this is also a case where, come on, I want you like that. Coming back in with a little bit of black paint and just adding a few highlights here and there, some dry brushing would help as well. All right, then on his back to his back. How we doing? Okay, that's fine. Okay, oh, nope, see, the arm broke off on that guy. So, failure on the brood guard. I will probably end up reprinting and repainting that. That's okay. So, let's go ahead and paint up him, because as I said, he has green skin, so I'm just going to go ahead and give him his green skin, and I'll later come back in and give him brown robes or something like that. But it's nice while I have this green to give him the right coloration. And he has, I think, bare arms, as in, does he? I'm going to say he does, but I'm actually going to give him, I think he has gloves on. So he's just going to have bare upper arms. Not bare as in the creature, although that would be a thing in D&D. quite possibly. But we'll just go again and give those upper arms that. And again, I can afford to be a little messy because I'll be coming back into here and adding color around. So that's not a big deal. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but in the sides, the thing he's wearing is split, so you can see his leg. So we're going to go ahead and give him and paint up the green of his leg. Or her leg, can't really tell. It's a guy or a girl. That's a guy. Certainly nothing in the chest department to indicate femaleness. But he's definitely wearing boots, so we'll just do the upper thigh there. Slightly revealing, but he's a monk, so there's not going to be too much in the way of. So he's kind of used to revealing that, and we'll go ahead. I'm going to have him have kind of these robes on the inside, but I'll paint in a little bit on the side of the legs. I mean, this will be basically black on the inside, but okay. And yeah, the rest of him will have normal, have other colors. Oh, one little dot in there of the green. Okay, good. So we have the green on him. We've done those guys. So I only have one more thing to do. I want to do the feet of the Brood Guards and the eyes, and it's probably all going to be pretty much black. I actually have this metallic steel. I might use that for for those. So let me be right back. Let's go ahead and do a bit of another cartoon while I clean off these brushes, and we'll use those. 1 second.
Many years ago, when the people of Israel were a great nation ruled by King Saul, they fought a long and bitter war against their ancient enemies, the Philistines. In those days, soldiers used swords and spears and bows and arrows, and they wore heavy armor and carried shields to protect themselves in battle, so that only the biggest and strongest men were taken into the army. Well, in this war, the Israelites and the Philistines were pretty evenly matched. They fought many hard battles, and each side lost many men. But neither side could completely conquer the other. Then one day, while the Philistines were camped on one side of the great valley and the Israelites on the other, there came out of the camp of the Philistines a champion of their cause, a huge giant.